Hey guys, welcome to Pepcoding. So in this video, we are going to discuss an interesting question of our arrays and string series, that is insert interval. So in this question, we'll be given an array interval list and a new interval. All right. So we'll be given as input. It means we'll be given an interval list. It means it will be containing multiple intervals, right? And we'll be given an new interval. Okay, given a new interval. So interval list is a sequence of sorted on the basis of start time known overlapping intervals. So interval list is a sequence. It means interval list contains multiple intervals, and those intervals are sorted according to their starting time. All right. And now any interval I from interval list indicates its start time and end time. It means interval list is a 2D array containing 1D arrays, and those 1D array contains starting time and ending time of all the intervals. All right. Now a new interval will also be given to us as input. And what do we have to do? And the task is to insert these new interval to the given sorted interval list. All right. And our task is to insert that new interval in our sorted interval list. So it might include merging of intervals. All right. So I suggest you guys to watch this to solve this question, merging of intervals, if you haven't done it yet. All right. Okay. Because we'll be needing that question here. So let me just take an example from here to solve this question. Let's just take our input intervals that are given to us here. Okay. Okay, this is our input. It means these are our intervals. Okay. These are our intervals. Okay, so let me just first of all make my interval array list, or interval list, or interval array. That is my 2D array. Okay. So these are my intervals. Let's say these are given to me are these five intervals, and the last one is our interval. That is, these are my five intervals. All right, till this point. And the last one, this interval is my new interval that we have to merge into this intervals. Okay, so these intervals are 1, 5, 7, 9. These intervals are sorted, right? Sorted according to their starting time. These are my intervals. And I have a new interval array that contains two elements in this array. First is my starting time of my new interval and ending time of my new interval. All right, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1. This is my interval list. Okay. All right. Now, merging of intervals can be interpreted as first of all, let me just make these intervals here. First of all, so here, this is my first interval. That is from 1 to 5. Let's say this is my axis. It is from 1 to 25. Okay, let's say this is from 1 to 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, then 10, then 11, then 12, then 13, then 14, then 15, then 16, then 17, then 18, 19, and then 25. So this is my first interval. This is my first interval from 1 to 5. Then my second interval from 7 to 9. Then from 10 to 13. Then from 16 to 19. Then the last from 20 to 25. 20 to 25. And the new interval that we have to insert is from 12 to 20. So let's see here, if we put our new interval here from 12 to 20. This is my new interval. So from here, as you can see, from here, you can see this interval is forming a new interval, right? From 10 to 25. Only merging of this interval is leading to me a new interval that is from 10 to 25, right? So now my interval list would be like 1 to 5, 7 to 9, and from 10 to 25, right? Now this was only one case when I merge my new interval, right? My new interval will be merged to my interval list. All right. Then there could be another case also when there would be another case also when there is no overlapping is there. When no overlapping is there. When no overlapping is there. Okay, so let's see how is it possible. Let's say my interval, that is my new interval, was somewhat like from let's say from 14 to 15. All right, this is my new interval that we have to insert. So let's see here. This would be my interval that is from 14 to 15 only. So there is no overlapping, right? There is no merging. So my array would be like what? My new interval list would be 14 to 15. It would not be 10 to 25. It was what? 10 to 13, right? 10 to 13, 14 to 15, 16 to 19, 20 to 25, right? This would be my answer. And there can be the third case also when this interval merged with only one interval. All right. So let's see here. How is it possible? When this interval is, let's say my new interval was, let's say 11 to 15. 11 to 15. If it was 11 to 15, then it would be like this. 11 to 15. It means it would create a new interval from 10 to 15. Right? This would be my, let's say this would be my new interval from 10 to 10 to 15 only. Right? Right? And my previous was from 11 to 15. So my new interval was from 10 to 15. All right. So now this array would somewhat look like this. 1, 5. Interval list would be 7, 9. Then 10 to 15. It means these intervals are merged. All right. Then 16 to 19. Then 20 to, right? Okay. Now let's discuss how are we going to solve this problem. We have discussed about 3 cases when there is merging with when there is merging with this interval also and this interval also, right? Then another case we have discussed, that is then there is only merging with the previous interval. All right. And then was another cases when there was no merging at all. All right. So now let's discuss how we are going to solve this. So first of all, here what will be my answer? My answer is an array list of integer array. Okay. So my answer will be, let me just make my answer array list here. My array list that would be empty initially. Let's say this is my answer array list. And it will contain integer array. Okay, this is my array list. And what was my what was my answer? What, let me just, was my interval. And my new interval was 12 to 20. New interval array contain 12 and 20. And this is my new, sorry, this is my interval list. Now let's see how am I going to solve this. First of all, my answer array list is, first of all, my answer array list is empty. It contains nothing. So now my index is, let's say, initially 0. I will start from the index 0, that is from the first interval of my interval list. Okay, so index is 0. It means it represents my interval list of 0. That is this array. All right, that is this array. Okay, so initially I will check if my interval list of 0 is what? Interval list of 0 of 0. It means the starting time of my first interval. If it's lesser than the starting time of my new interval, then it means we have to, this interval is going to be the first interval in my array list, in my answer, because the new interval that we are inserting is not the interval that is going to be inserted before my first interval, because its starting time is more than my first interval. So my first interval would be inserted. That is, my first interval would be my first interval in my array list. That is, the first interval in my interval list would also be the first interval in my answer array list. All right. Now I come here, I increase my index again. Let me just write it using, I should code it with here also. First of all, okay, let me just code here also. All right, yeah, so index is now here. Index is here now at 1. Index is here now at 1. It means I'm going to check the starting time of this interval also with my new interval. So the starting time of this interval is also lesser than my new interval. It means this interval come before my new interval. So again, we are going to put this interval here. All right, in my answer list. Now I increase my index to 2. Sorry, I come here. I again check, is the starting time of my interval lesser than my new interval? Yes, it is. It means this interval came before my new interval, 10 to 13. So I'm going to put this here. Now I increase my index. Now my index is 3, right? My index is 3 here. I'm going to check if my if the starting time of my interval less than my new interval. No, it's not. It means there is some merging here. It means this is the place between this interval and this interval where I'm going to put my new interval. All right, because between this 10 to 13 and between this 16 to 19, I'm going to put my new interval. My new interval is from 12 to 20. That is from here to somewhere here. Okay, from 12 to 20. Now let's see how we are going to do this. So first of all, what we were doing here, we were just inserting our intervals into my array list till the starting time of my intervals were lesser than my starting time of my new intervals. So first of all, let me just write and code it here. First of all, let me just make an array list named answer array list, which is of integer type array, right? Array list answer is equals to new array list. All right. Now, what are we going to do here? I will be make an index 0 because we are going to start from our first interval. Okay, I will be running a while loop here. While my index is lesser than interval list dot length, right? Then check here if the interval list of idx of 0. It means interval list, it means that that particular index there is some interval, and if the starting time of that interval is lesser than the starting time of my new interval of 0 represent the starting time of new interval. If it's lesser than that, then simply add it to my answer dot add my what, my interval list of idx, interval list of idx. All right, else do what? If it's not, then there would be, then we should break. It means we have found any interval that has starting time greater than my new interval. It means there would be some merging. So break here. Okay. Now, okay. So we have reached this condition. We are at index 3 now. In my try here, we are at index 3 now. So after that, I will see what do I have to do when I reach my index 3. My index is equal to 3. What we have to do now? Because we have reached the condition where I have found my two intervals where we have to merge. All right. I am between this interval and this interval and this new interval. Now there would be merging. Now let's see in there would be merging in three ways. First of all, merging can be in three ways. First of all, let me just tell you here. Let's say these are my two intervals. Let's say this is from 5 to 10, 11 to 20, let's say 15. Now my new interval can be from 1 to 3. 1 to 3. So in this case, my array list would contain what? In this case, when my new index is at 0.0 and my new interval starting time of my new interval is lesser than the starting time of all of my intervals, right? So it means this would be my first interval to be inserted in my answer, right? To be inserted in my array list. So I'm going to check here. If my answer dot size is equal to 0, it means it is the first interval, right? So I'm going to add it to my answer dot add new interval. All right. Then there can be some other case also. It means there can be some other case also where these are my two intervals. This is, let's say, my this interval, and this is, let's say, my this interval, 16 interval. This is 10. This, let's say, 10, 13, and this is, let's say, 16, 19. And now let's say my new interval would be 14 to 15. If it was like this, if it is like this, then my array list contains this from 10 to 13. Now what do I have to do? I just simply have to put this to my array list, because there would be no merging with neither with this interval, no with this interval. So the condition here would be what? If the last interval that I have put in my answer array list, so if the last interval of 1, that is the ending time of my last interval that I have put in my array list, if it's lesser than the starting time of my new interval, it means new interval of 0. If it's lesser than that, it means there would be no overlapping with this interval. So I'm simply going to put my 14, 15 here, right? So it means here I would be checking two conditions: if my answer dot size is, if my answer array list is empty or not, or if my last interval that I have entered, so the its ending time is lesser than the starting time of my new array list, new interval. All right. So here we'll be writing. Otherwise, there would be merging. So in these two cases, there would be no merging, and after that, there would be merging, right? So if the starting time of my, that is, if the last answer dot get, I will be writing here, if answer dot get answer dot size -1, it means the last interval of I of 1, it means the last interval's ending time. If it's lesser than the new interval starting time, then what do we have to do? It means there would be no merging, and we just simply have to add it to my array list. So we are just simply have to add a new interval to my array list. And there was one another case that my answer array list contains nothing. It means it is my first element, right? It is my first interval. Then add it to my answer array list. Otherwise, there would be merging. This is for merging. Now come the case when we have to merge. All right. So here we have to merge. So let's say this was just an example. Now come our actual case. My actual case is what? My actual case is this is 10, 13. 10 to 13. This is 16 to 19. And my new interval is from 12 to 20. 12 to 20. My new interval is 12 to 20. It means there is merging. So in this case, there is merging, right? So we are merging there. It means in this case, we are merging intervals. So here, now, my array dot last contains what? My array dot last interval in my array is what? Last interval in my array is 10, 13, right? This is the last interval. So its ending time is 13, but after merging, its ending time should be what? After merging, its ending time should be, after merging with this new interval, its ending time should be max of this 13 and this 20. So so for this interval, for this whole interval, its ending time is going to be what? 20, right? Its ending time should be 20. So this interval because this, after merging, this interval would become 10 to 20. It won't remain 10 to 13. So we have to do what? We will extract this interval and add it to its ending index, add it to its ending time. We will modify its ending time. That is my last interval of 1 would be equal to what? It would be equal to max of last interval of I, interval of 1, and new interval of 1. Alright, new interval of 1. Okay. It should be max of both of these intervals. So I will check here. Okay, here last, I will be making an array. Let me name is last interval li is equals to answer dot get answer dot size -1. All right, that is the last interval. I'm going to do what? Li of 1 would be equal to math dot max of li of 1 or new interval of 1. It means new interval's ending time. Either the ending time of my last interval or the ending time of my new interval. Alright, new interval of 1. Okay. Now, again come the cases for the remaining elements, remaining intervals here. So, we have sorted till this index. Now, I am at index 3. It means that this and this intervals are remaining. So, I am again going to run a while loop here. While my index is less than my interval dot length, while idx is lesser than interval list dot length. Now here do what? Again do merging if possible. So I'm again going to check here if, see here you will see we have merged here. So here we got 16, 19. We have merged and we found this interval. Now we got 16, 19. So I'm going to check if it's going to be included in my last interval that we have pushed into our answer array list, or it is going to be excluded from that. It is going to be some other like interval. All right. So I'm going to check if the starting time of my interval of this interval, that is interval of idx, interval list of idx, if its starting time is lesser than the ending time of my last interval that I have inserted here. If it's lesser than that, it means it is going to be merged with the last interval I have inserted in my answer array list. All right. And if it's not, then it is going to be here as separated interval, but 16, 19 is going to be merged. It is included in 10, 20, so we are going to merge them. And all right, it should be less than equal to, and for this case this is 20, 15. So 20, 25 will also be included in our last interval. We'll see, because here 20 is the common point in both, because here we have 10, 20 in our array list now after merging. So I'm going to check here if my starting time of my interval list of IDX, if it's lesser than or equal to my interval of, my last interval that I have inserted, right? Last interval that we have put it in my answer array list. If it's lesser than or equal to last interval ending time, then we are going to merge them. All right. Yeah. If I'm going to again take the last interval, int L last I, let's say last interval is equal to answer dot get answer dot size -1. Okay. So if the last I of 1, if it's last I of 1, if it's greater than or equal to, if it's greater than the starting time of my current interval, that is interval list of IDX of 0. If it's greater than that, greater than or equal to that, then do what? Then do merging. Then do what? Then last I of 1 would be equal to, again, math dot max of, last I of 1, it means the last interval we have put it in our answer array list. Last I of 1, it means the ending point, max of the ending point of the last interval, or the ending point of my current interval, that is from my interval list of IDX. All right. So interval list of IDX of 1, right? Okay. Else do what? Else it means there would be no merging, and then it means else simply add to my array list. It means simply add that particular interval to my array list. It means there would be no merging. And then IDX plus 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 plus, and then plus plus, and then return the answer, that is our array list, and convert it into 2D array answer to array new int answer dot size. And now we should try to run this. Answer dot get answer dot size -1 int last I, error income. Okay, at line 31 it should be array, and at line 32, line 34. Okay, now let's try to run this. Okay, successful. And now let's try to submit this. Okay, submitted. So from here you can see why are we using our last while loop. Our last while loop says that the remaining, let's just look for the remaining intervals, and if it is going to merge to my, if it's going to be merged in my current interval, that is the last index we have entered in our array list, then merge them. Otherwise simply put them in my answer array list. All right. So I hope I was able to make it clear to you guys. I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, please like, share and comment, and thanks for watching.